Nithyananda. Today I wanted to share with you some of my experiences and miracles working in the Nithyananda Annalaya. What the Annalaya is really Sadashiva's kitchen. In the ashram, we have a huge kitchen that feeds all of the people who are residing in the kitchen, including all the visitors and people who have come for programs. So each day, we were feeding roughly at that time around 900 people, and that included many of workers who were there. A lot of construction's happening in the Aadheenam. So we were cooking food for around 800 to 900 people each day. So that includes Aadheenavasis, Sanyasis, visitors, workers, and staff. And all of the food that we made had to go to about 6 to 7 different locations each day. So not only 3 meals a day. When the food was finished, we had to basically fill all of they call it Bain Mary boxes, these big metal boxes with a cover that go inside a serving platform, basically. So we'd have at least 6 to 8 items that would go out. So logistically, we had to know how much food went to where for about how many people, and make sure everybody had enough, and which location it went to and all that. So you can imagine, from going to publications to working in the Annalaya for at least about 4 months I worked there. And it was a beautiful experience to learn another aspect, to experience another aspect of the Aadheenam. I've worked in several departments there, including the Gurukul, the library, publications, social media, temple, so many different aspects of the Aadheenam. But this one was definitely unique. And I also, it's a great place to understand the context of the mission, of what Swamiji is trying to do. Because there in the kitchen, you cannot basically sit around. You cannot say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it later. There are people here at the Aadheenam who have come to see Swamiji. And what does everybody in the world need but food? They need to be fed. Yes, there are some of us yogis who can go without food because we were initiated into the Nirahara Samyama. So, but that aside, the whole kind of life revolves around sort of meal times. So we have to provide that. And Swamiji provides free food for everybody, including visitors, and all of the Aadheenams. Anybody can go and have a free meal. It's all part of it. And thousands of people are fed each day at all the Aadheenams around the world. So basically, you cannot go into any kind of mood. I mean, there's a very small number of us. See, all of the kitchen is run by sannyasis only. The sannyasis are only allowed or guided. The guideline is we can only eat sannyasi food made by sannyasis. So I've never heard the exact reason why that is. Of course, I do have my own ideas. And the one idea I think of is how all of Swamijis and sannyasis are extensions of him. So whether we know it or not, what kind of mood we're in or not, we're still radiating Swamiji. He still is inside of us. He still has put, some of his energy inside of us, so that when we are physically touching the food, only his beautiful energy is going into that food. So people are getting that extra, that extra kick of spiritual love from Swamiji when we're handling the food. Because he cannot be so open, with everybody, but he can with us, because through us, he can do his mission. So how much ever or little we're able to allow that to happen, it's still happening. So I like to think that that's the reason. Maybe someday he'll expand a little more on it. But the kitchen itself, that place, that whole environment, it's its own separate lila, its own separate divine play of Swamiji. So many things you learn there. I learned a lot about my blind spots, and where my incompletions were, in seeing how the science of looking at another person, how their reflection, how they're reflecting me, basically. So when somebody did something or put me into some incompletion, or I noticed something that just annoyed me about somebody, instead of holding a grudge against that person, or, I would look inside of me, and I would see what part of me is being reflected now. And I'd be like, oh, wow. So each time I would see something like that, I would surrender to Swamiji's feet, and I started to feel more and more light. And I started to really appreciate that spiritual practice of surrendering it to Swamiji's feet. And it does work, and the more I did it, I did see how that happened. There were some people who were not living in the space of sannyas. I will be honest. They were not being, life is for others. That is, how we feel. Life is for others, and we have a chance there to serve the people. And they're basically were caught up in sort of their own their own agenda with their day. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because we all have our patterns that we cling to and that we're stuck with and we need to come out of, so that we can be more and more open for the cosmic energy, for Swamiji to work through us. So I just wanted to say that I saw many of those things. And even though somebody who, let's say, was not performing and not caring, about something coming to completion and moving, I still didn't hold a grudge against that person. Whereas normally, I would be like, that person's like this. How can they be doing this? Why are they here? All this, and I would just let it upset me so much. But working there, really allowed me to just release it. I know that I'm sincerely working, and out of the context of feeding Swamiji's people, just getting the food out the door, so that people can eat. And it was such an important thing. Sometimes I even got out of bed when I was so tired and maybe sore from lifting so many heavy things. I thought, oh my God, I have to make dosa today, this morning. And so people have to have breakfast, so I have to go. So you have that kind of responsibility and integrity. And I had the beautiful, what's the word I'm looking for? Such a privilege to offer Naivediyam to the deities. We have 3 beautiful deities there. Swamiji himself, Annapurni, and Bhikshadana. So each meal, we offer the food to the deities. And so for maybe 1 or 2 months, I was able to do that. So it really helped me have that integrity with time, because there were certain timings each day they had to be fed and offered the food. And it was such a nice solace for me, almost, working in that little temple, and then every night cleaning the temple and just sort of making sure their area was clean, cleaning up the flowers, washing the whole place. It just really gave me some connection with them and something to do for them, something like that. I don't know, I just really enjoyed that aspect of it all. That was probably my favorite part of working in the kitchen team. So many things are learned there, and it's such a strong environment where, Swamiji puts you there so you learn quickly and move on. And that's how I felt, I really learned a lot about myself. What does it mean to be in the space of putting others before me? And being quickly in completion with others. Only I can work in integrity, and only my integrity with Swamiji is important. If somebody else wants to do something, I can blast them and yell at them and then just leave it, If they can't be inspired to move on, I cannot allow, their space to disrupt mine. I can only then work with integrity and authenticity with myself and others, and move them as much as possible and inspire them as much as possible. So many times we had fun, even just being crazy and having fun. It's probably the loudest place in the Aadheenam, because it's like, hey, you got this done, that done, move over, run, just kind of yelling, and it's very an energetic place. And some miracles that happen. There were many times I have no clue how we got so much food out to people, because there were some times where some of the cooks were maybe ill, so only maybe 1 cook was there, and 1 or 2 of us was there to help them. So I'm thinking, wow, and it's not a joke, feeding so many people. You have these giant cauldrons of food. I don't know, cauldrons isn't the right word. Giant vats of food, and you have to make it for so many people. And we have to cook at least giant steamers, 3, 4 steamers of rice for each meal, and you have to rinse the rice in a giant drum and put it in. And, it's so many different aspects of it. So I always wondered, how is just this one person, and not only that one person, there's also a team of people cutting vegetables, but cutting them by hand, Sometimes the vegetable cutter wouldn't work, or they couldn't use it, or, even if they did put it in this little machine, so many kgs, at least 15 kgs of vegetables were used for each meal. Each meal, 15 kgs of vegetables. You have no idea how much it is, but for me, I had to learn kgs and pounds, but it's a lot. And so some, group of 3 people, 4 people, that's not very much, cutting these vegetables. It's amazing. So with that team, and then the cooking team, boom, trying to get all that food made for so many people, and then some few guys coming to collect it and put it in a truck and take it out. really, so what is that, like 10 people maximum, and then the person making coffee and tea. There's maybe 10 people maximum supplying food for 900 people. I mean, that is a miracle. That shows you that Sadashiva is running that kitchen, okay? That is the reality of it. You know, you see all these kitchens and there's hundreds of people. In fact, we just had a program and there was like 100 people there, you know, cooking for 800 people, the same amount of people almost, that, you know, we were cooking for every day. So, of course, they were cooking a lot of items, you know, okay. But still, it just boggles my brain. When you look at it, you know the Swamiji is at work. You know he's at work in that place. So anyway, it was a beautiful experience, and such a love is put into that food. You know, all the context of why sannyasis are there is for Swamiji and our bhakti and our devotion to him. And, you know, understanding that his people are there, we need to feed them, you know, we need to carry good energy, you know. And of course, everything's blessed anyhow that comes out of that kitchen because it's all Swamiji's energy. But it's just a wonderful experience to understand, and such a hard work involved. You know, such a, you know, hats off to everybody and anybody who's ever worked in the Annalaya and whoever will. So please, if you have a chance, if you're an Aadheenavasi, you make sure to go in the kitchen and spend some time. You cannot understand it unless you work there at least 1 week. You know, 1 day or a few hours is not going to cut it. So you have to spend a little more time and really understand and see how it is and what an important part of life it is. So my love and admiration for all the people there, and for Swamiji for making such a beautiful place for us to gather and make beautiful sattvic, organic Vedic food from the Bhaga Shastras. What a blessing to have food made in accordance to Mahadeva tens of thousands of years ago as written in the Agamas. So we don't use anything that's not in the Agamas, like for instance tomatoes. We won't cook with tomatoes. We don't eat, say, papaya anymore. You know, all those things. We make sure it's listed out in the Agamas, because that is the food that keeps the body at an optimal energetic space, so that the teachings of Swamiji and the energy of Swamiji and the powers of Swamiji can be awakened and radiated in the body. So that is why the Agamas are there. And so one other aspect you maybe don't hear much about is that it's in the food, it's in the cooking. You are what you eat. And that love and that energy of Sadashiva is in the food that we serve there. So you'll be picking that up and enjoying, internalizing the love of Mahadeva. So thanks again for watching today. Nithyananda.